Gigi Jordan says she planned to kill herself and her son because she believed her ex-husband Ray had mafia ties and planned to kill her. Gigi says if she died, she was terrified custody of Jude would go to his biological father, a man Gigi claims abused the boy. The allegations Gigi Jordan has made are absolutely refuted by both of her ex-husbands, and neither man has ever been charged with any crime. Across the water is Rikers Island, home to one of New York's most notorious correctional facilities. Inside, Gigi Jordan is awaiting her fate. Let's talk about what happened and why you're on trial. I've studied your website, gigijordantruth.com. On February 3rd of 2010, you took your son, Jude, 8 years old, and you checked into the Peninsula Hotel, correct?
Correct.
Sometime over the next 48 hours, you took his life.
Yes, I gave him medication that resulted in his death.
You killed your son.
Yes.
And you did so intentionally.
Yes.
You also sought to take your own life.
Yes.
By taking these pills, these medications.
Correct.
We're going to talk about why in a minute. You're riding up the elevator to the 16th floor. What are you thinking?
I'm not thinking, I'm terrified.
As you walked through that door, did you know you were going to go into that room and kill that boy and yourself?
Up until the moment that happened, I had continuing reservations.
What was his demeanor when you went into the room? Was he excited to be there? Was it, oh, it's a beautiful place? Was he running around the room? Was he jumping on the bed? Was he happy? Was he...
He was very anxious.
At some point in that room, you crossed the line and said, I'm doing this.
I said, I haven't been able to protect this child from this horror his whole life. I didn't want him to be here, and I certainly didn't want to be here without him. I have typing between us, back and forth, leading up to that moment.
And he had the capacity to have an intelligent discussion with you. I understand it was typing.
Yes.
But he had the conceptual ability to have this conversation with you.
Yes.
Did he know why you were taking him to the Peninsula?
He knew. We had been talking about this for approximately 3 days.
When you walked through the doors of the Peninsula, you believe he knew, this is my death house?
No, I don't know that he knew this was his death house. This was something that we were discussing back and forth, back and forth. He would say things to me like, you're too weak. You know this is the only way out. They're going to get me. They're going to get you. So up until the very end, there was back and forth about whether or not this was the only way out.
Did Jude encourage you to take his life?
Jude and I talked a lot in the prior days about the ongoing threats to my life and what would happen to him, and his fears that he had been expressing over a couple of years, over the time that I was able to separate him from his biological father, who had horrendously sexually abused him over the earlier course of his life, up till he was 6.5 years old, when he found the courage to tell me about the abuse.
Did he know when you put those pills in his hand, did he know this is it?
I think so.
We're doing this?
Yes.
And you gave him about 50 pills?
Something like that.
15 or 20 Xanax and 30 or 40 Ambien?
Yes.
You also say that you crushed up some pills because they had hard edges on them and it was difficult for him to swallow.
They were large pills, hydrocodone. They were this big and they needed to be split and crushed.
Was a syringe ever used?
Yes, he'd been taking medication in syringes from years prior.
How long did it take for him to take all of those?
5 or 10 minutes.
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.